The smartest way to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. I've gone through body recomposition multiple times and have helped hundreds of my clients see body recomposition, like my clients Wayne, look at Tori, Avalon's, JL, and the list goes on. It's not actually probable, but it's highly likely that you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. In this video, I'm gonna show you 5 simple steps that you can follow, practical and science-backed solutions that you'll be able to do from the moment you finish this video that will allow you to see yourself gain an inch in terms of your biceps and lose an inch in your waist if you follow these 5 simple steps consistently. Without further ado, let's not waste time. Let's go into step number 1. In this video, we're going to focus on 2 main aspects, the fat loss and the muscle building, and how to do that at the same time. On the fat loss, we know we want to lose about 1 pound of fat tissue a week, and 1 pound of fat is equivalent to 3,500 calories. And in a week, that's how much we want to burn. Divide that by 7 days in a week, we want to burn 500 calories a day. But to be able to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, you want to do it the smart way. I'm going to show you what part 1 is to burn 250 calories, and I'm going to take you to step number 1. Smart step number 1 is walk 10,000 steps at home. According to the science, 10,000 steps, if you're 100 pounds, you'll burn 250 calories. If you're 200 pounds, you'll burn 500 calories. The heavier you weigh, the more calories you burn. And this way, half of the battle with losing fat is done by walking 10,000 steps. And something I highly recommend is getting an under-the-desk treadmill. When I'm at home, if I'm watching a series with my wife, I get on the under-the-desk treadmill. Lately, I've been reading the book Atomic Habits, and I do that when I'm on the under-the-desk treadmill, and it's totally possible. If I'm on a Zoom call, I just jump on the treadmill and I get my 10,000 steps in. It is easy to do, you won't feel tired, and why it's amazing, research has shown that walking will tap mainly into fat stores. And if you've ever wondered how people stay lean year-round, it's because they walk. They're very active and they're burning all the calories that they eat, and they maintain their physique year-round. I highly recommend getting one of these. It's probably the best investment you can do for yourself and for your family, because not only you can use it, everyone else. So half of the battle is done by walking 10,000 steps, and you're burning that fat off daily. Granted, you keep everything consistent, but let me move on into step number 2 that will make this even easier. I know one of the challenging parts is exactly, Mike, what calories and macros should I be eating? So I'm gonna try my level best and help as many of you as possible. So all I want you to do is this. Go into the comment section down below and comment your age, weight, height, your gender, and how many times you plan on training. And I'll give you the perfect calories and macros that you should follow according to the data for you to be able to build muscle and lose fat. I'm gonna do my very best to get to as many comments as possible, because I know if my viewers are winning, then I'm winning consequently. But all I ask in return is to leave the video the gentle thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next step. Is training with 1 rep left in reserve. To be able to build muscle, you need to train with a certain level of intensity. You need to provide the body and the muscle enough stress to force it to grow. And usually people go in the gym, they just move the weights around, and then they want to leave, right? Because it's a task. But when you go in there with intent to be able to damage your muscle fiber so it can grow, so your physique can look like it, you can grow in a deficit, and a slight deficit. So train with 1 rep left in reserve and train with good form, and you'll consequently see that your body will have enough demand to force it to grow. Granted that you're following the next step, step number 3, that I'm going to show you. What you're putting in your body also provide that stimulus, but let's move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is eating a very high protein diet. Let me explain. When I say very high, I mean more than 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I've personally gone as high as 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Let me explain. The only downside to eating more protein is if you have a pre-existing kidney condition or you don't have the budget for it. Otherwise, there's no downside to eating more protein. There's actually more upside. Number 1, your metabolism is boosted because you eat more protein. Your body requires energy to break down the protein. The more protein you eat, the more energy your body's gonna burn, the more calories. Number 2, it's easier to follow a higher protein diet because you're gonna feel full all the time, which will make the dieting portion easy. And then finally, because you're training really hard, your body's gonna have a higher energy demand, and it's gonna need more protein to repair the muscle you've damaged. And I've noticed the more protein you eat, the more your body is more inclined to muscle protein synthesis instead of muscle protein breakdown. So eating more protein has a tremendous amount of benefit. Now, also eating that 1.3 per pound of body weight is very easy. Let me show you. Wake up in the morning, 2 scoops of an oxy whey, and you have 50 grams here. For breakfast, you can have an egg white toast, 50 grams of protein. For lunch, you can have a chicken wrap, 50 grams of protein. You can have 2 bars for your snack, another 50 grams of protein. And then for dinner, you can have a zucchini noodle bolognese pasta, and there you have 250 grams of protein. And in my experience, when I did this with my clients, they were able to build muscle and lose fat at the same time because I gave them enough protein as the building blocks to do so. Is ingesting or eating a lot of protein harmful? I get that question quite a lot. They're like, that's too much protein. Can it be harmful? In that 1 gram as being the average, what would you, and especially for recomposition, what would you consider the upper limit and the lower limit of protein intake if you're seeking recomposition?
Protein, first off, as long as you are healthy and you have healthy kidneys, there's no harm in consuming higher protein levels. Study after study has showed that there is no harm in it. An interesting study by Jose Antonio showed that people were eating, extremely high intakes of protein, 350 grams a day, and there was no negative effects on their kidneys after a year. And one of my clients at one point, just as a test, we were feeding him like 500 grams of protein, and he was a researcher, and so he was just testing his kidney levels, and everything was fine even after 10 weeks of 500 grams of protein. And so no negative effects whatsoever. I do give my clients higher protein intakes than a gram of protein per pound body weight. There is some research that shows that going a bit higher than a gram of protein per pound of body weight can be beneficial for muscle growth. But it's kind of in relation to the entire diet, because if protein continues to raise, then you have to watch your total caloric intake very carefully to make sure it doesn't get too high. So if somebody can't handle a lot of calories, I won't give them 250 grams of protein, because then their carbohydrates are going to have to be at 100 grams. And so that's not really feasible to continue to carry out over the long term, if that makes sense. I would honestly list a gram of protein per pound of body weight as the minimum.
Let's move on into step number 4. Before we move into step number 4, over the last 16 weeks, we've had a 99% success rate at Sculpt by Science, and it's because of a mechanism that I've developed called the DNA sequence. It's a combination of all the scientific research I've done over the last decade, combining everything I've learned from biochemistry and microbiology and everything through medicine, and the experience I've gone through with nearly thousands of each and every single client that I've personally coached. I am now able to transform any physique as long as the person is dedicated, irrespective of their background. The people who come through my doors are busy professionals who are dedicated and finally want to see the six-pack once in their life. Their energy levels are optimized. They're eating the specific foods that they can eat, not only for this program, but what they'll be able to follow the rest of their life. Their sleep is optimized, and also their training and nutrition. And we look into so much more in terms of blood work. We do it all. If you want to know exactly how I'm able to use the DNA sequence and see such a high success rate, what we do is we go through a diagnosis. What you need to do is fill out the short questionnaire, and we'll be able to jump on a call and be able to see how the DNA sequence may be able to help you. We're also selective with who we work with, so please fill out as much information as possible so we can see if we can help you, but I'll see you in the next step. If you're actually trying to get rid of your belly fat, the number 1 most underrated thing you can do is sleep more. Hear me out. In 2017, when I first went from 30% to 12%, I was doing 2 hours of cardio and I got as low as 1,500 calories, and it sucked. And in the following year, I went from 6 hours of sleep to 8, and I was able to diet on roughly 2,500 calories, and I was only doing 30 minutes of cardio. And the way you should look at sleep is the oil in your engine. With so much oil in your engine, your car will function better, and it's less likely to break down at all, and it'll make your fat loss 2 times easier. So what you should do, if you have an alarm to wake up, have an alarm to go to bed. Mine is at 9 p.m. When the alarm goes off, I stop all work, I stop looking at screens, and I put my phone in another room so I avoid dopamine hits, and so I'm avoiding the blue light into my eyes. Something that I'll also take is melatonin. Melatonin, 5 milligrams pre-bed, and this will induce sleepiness. This is not addictive, this is over the counter, and I just use that to be able to get into sleep, and maybe reading a book will help you. And I do this with so many of my clients. I've had clients drop 10 to 20 pounds alone from just getting them from 6 hours to 7 hours and then to 8 hours. And I highly recommend working on your overall sleep hygiene. But sleep is the most underrated thing you can do if there's one thing you take away from this video. But let me catch you in the end to give you the final tip. We want to take advantage of every aspect in terms of being able to build muscle and lose fat the smart way. It is smart to have a whey protein in your diet. Why? Because it will supplement your ability to hit that high protein target. What's amazing about a whey protein as well, it's very versatile. You can have it as a shake on the go, you can add it into your oatmeal, or you can mix it into any meal that will be incredible to help you hit that high protein target. The second option, creatine. Creatine is the most researched supplement in the world, and let me share the science behind why creatine is so effective at building muscle. If there's one supplement that has truly passed the test of time, it's creatine monohydrate. It's been the subject of hundreds of scientific studies, and the evidence is clear. Creatine is a natural compound made up of the amino acids L-arginine, glycine, and methionine. Creatine monohydrate is creatine with one molecule of water attached to it. Our bodies can produce creatine naturally, but they can also absorb and store creatine found in various foods like meat, eggs, and fish. Its benefits are best described by Examine.com. The primary benefit of creatine is an improvement in strength and power output during resistance exercise. For this purpose, creatine is well researched and the effects are quite notable for a supplement. When used in conjunction with resistance exercise, creatine may modestly increase lean muscle mass. It has also been tested for anaerobic running capacity in many studies, the results of which are fairly mixed but generally suggest a small improvement in performance. Finally, we want to make sure we're also taking care of our micronutrient intake, and just having a multivitamin a day will make sure that all bases are covered, and you want to be smart about your general approach. But I'll leave the video here. If you enjoyed it, leave the video the gentle thumbs up, and remember, if you want me to give you the calories that you should be following to build muscle and lose fat, comment your age, weight, height, your gender, and how many times you're training, and I'll try and get to as many of those comments as possible so I can help you out. And in return, all I ask is a gentle thumbs up. But I'll leave the video here. These are two amazing videos on diet and what foods you can be eating, but I'll leave it there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.